Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Punters Lounge Cheltenham Day 3 Tips podcast. I'm your host, Darran Pearce, and I'm joined again by the Punters Lounge horse racing tipster, Steve Simmons, aka the Brigadier. This is the third of a four-part series previewing the races taking place at this year's Cheltenham Festival. This episode will look at the 7 races taking place on Day 3 on Thursday, the 14th of March, where the feature race is, of course, the Stayers Hurdle. Before we get started, if you want to stay up to date during the festival with in-depth race cards, expert tips, and the latest odds and results, then head on over to punterslounge.com. Now, let's get things started with the feature race of the day in the form of the Stayers Hurdle. And we have another Irish favourite here, Steve, which we're going to say quite a lot during the week, in the shape of Teahupoo, who was an impressive winner at Fairyhouse, the Hatton's Grace, the last time we saw him on track. That was back in December. He struggled in the Champion Hurdle a couple of years ago. Last year, he was third, just beaten by Sire de Burley, 3/4 length in the Stayers Hurdle. Can he go 2 places better this year, Steve?
He can do, Darren, that's for sure. Just a bit concerned why we haven't seen him since December the 3rd. That's 3 months layoff. He's all quality, that's for sure. He's the best officially in the race, not by much. There's actually £9 between the top 10 in the betting, would you believe? So I don't think he represents much value. He can win, of course he can. He went off 9-4 favourite last year, as you said. I think he finished second and was demoted to third behind Sire de Burley. But there with a chance, but not much value for me.
Yes, he was demoted. I'd actually forgotten that, but you spot on. Of course, demoted to third after an appeal. We'll look at the main English contender in the shape of Crambo. I think he's probably now the shortest priced horse of a British runner in any of the big races this week. He's 5-1 at the moment, Bet365. Of course, he's stepped up massively. He went to that big handicap at Haydock where a lot of people were very critical of Connor's ride that day when he only finished third, and then he went to Ascot just before Christmas and took out the long walk hurdle, beating Paisley Park by a short head in what was a tremendous battle between the two. Fogos decided to just take a break with him since then on purpose, just to aim him at this race, and he looks for a very solid claim, Steve.
He's a lovely horse, isn't he? He's won 7 of his 10 runs. He's going to stay. He showed great battling qualities last time when beating Paisley Park there at Ascot. Although whether Paisley Park's the same horse he was a couple of years ago, it's debatable because he's been turned over 3 times in short finishes this season. But no, he's a lovely horse. £4 officially on ratings to find with Teahupoo. Would be great for Fergal O'Brien to have a winner there. I don't think he's had a winner, has he, at the festival?
No, he has not had a winner at the festival yet.
Yeah, local trainer-ish. So, he must have a chance. He'd be on your shortlist for sure. Darren, one horse I do think is a bit overpriced at the moment, and there is talk that he may be rerouted here, is the Gavin Cromwell trained Flooring Porter. Now, this is a horse that's he won the 2021, 2022 renewal, was 4th last year, and he's been chasing this year. But he's 3 from 4 at Cheltenham, and I think Gavin Cromwell in I saw some footage the other day of a preview in Ireland, and he was saying that it's quite possible that he'll reroute from the National Hunt Chase over a trip he's never run over before, 3 mile, 6 furlongs, to come here. In an open race, I think in a double figure price, he looks to value each way for me. But it is a wide open contest, isn't it?
Yeah, it definitely is. We'll give mention to a couple of others. Noble Yates is obviously interested in the former Grand National winner. Ran in the Gold Cup last year, finished 4th, but you gotta say it's well worth giving him a go. Of course, you mentioned Paisley Park, and it was him who he beat in the Cleve Hurdle last time. But Emmett Mullins, he loves to give some interesting campaigns to his horses, shall we say? And the fact that Noble Yates is going to run in the Stayers Hurdle is very intriguing.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? And if you go through a line for the Cleve Hurdle form with Paisley Park, it suggests that you should have a similar chance to Crambo, although he's a bigger price. So I always thought Noble Yates has been around a lot longer, and I'm quite surprised that he's only 9 years old, to be honest. Having won a Grand National a couple of years ago. So no, he would have a chance, Darren. He's got £9 officially to find with Teahupoo, the top rated. And then you've got Monkfish. Willie Mullins probably by now would be having a terrific week, and the enigmatic Monkfish who bounced back to form 7 weeks ago when winning at Gorham Park over 3 miles, running away from Somerville Boy. Whether that form's good enough, I'm not entirely sure, but you can never write off a Willie Mullins runner, that's for sure.
And we have to give quick mention to Sire de Burley, of course, won this race last year, and it seemed like every tipster going was putting him up, even though he still went off 33-1. Everyone seemed to be claiming that they put him up after the race.
Exactly.
We've only seen him once so far this season, of course, at Navan last time in the Boyne Hurdle, where he finished a well-beaten 7th, but no doubt Gordon Elliott's going to have him spot on for a repeat bid, even at the age of 12.
Yeah, he was a big drifter that day at Navan. He's a horse that comes alive in the spring, doesn't he? And as you say, even though he was 33-1 last year, everyone seemed to be saying, "Oh, I fancied him, I backed him," but he went on and won at Aintree afterwards, beating Marie's Rock. Yeah, you can't rule him out. There'll be a lot worse, but big price horses than him running this week, that's for sure. So, and the interesting thing is he's no doubt been mapped out for this. JP McManus owned, definitely, laid out for it.
So just to confirm your selection in the Stayers Hurdle?
Flooring Porter each way, non-runner, no bet, because he is also down to be a possible for the National Hunt Chase on day one. But when you hear the trainers saying that he may reroute here, that's good enough for me.
Many bookmakers are rolling out some fantastic free bets and promotions to get you in on the action at Cheltenham. If you're on the hunt for the best offers, we've got you covered. Just click on the free bets link in the description below, where you can claim top free bet offers for the Cheltenham Festival. Well, let's move on to the second race we'll take a look at. Obviously, the Stayers Hurdle is traditionally the feature race on day 3, but the Ryanair also is a massive Grade 1, and it's a really interesting, possibly really interesting race, this. El Fabiolo is currently the favourite at 6-4, but you'd imagine he's obviously going to go to the Queen Mother, where he's 1-2 at the time of recording. So that would probably leave Envoy Elan as the favourite, who, of course, beat Shishkin to win this race quite well last year.
Yes, he did. Trained by Henry de Bromhead. I think the important thing about this race, Darren, is the ground, because Banbridge would have a great chance, but he doesn't want it too soft, whereas Envoy Elan would handle it a lot better. So if it came up good, this is obviously on the Thursday, day 3, on good ground, on the new course, sorry. So if it did dry up to good to soft, good ground, that would favour Banbridge. But if it was, riding a lot softer, Envoy Elan would be the pick of that pair. In fact, I'd probably say my fancy in the race, Envoy Elan. He's a horse that I think at the start of his career, everyone thought he was going to be the next Arkle. And the fact that he then got beaten and he had a 1 year in the wilderness, people have sort of gone off him a little bit, but he's won 15 of his 24 starts, and he's a top class horse. He hadn't been seen since November, when he was second in the champion chase at Down Royal to Jerry Colombe. But if back to the form that he showed last year when he beat Shishkin, he'd do for me.
I think it's also worth repeating. He's a 3 times Cheltenham Festival winner.
Yes,
I think people sort of remember the time where he didn't win, when he was 4-9 in the Marsh Novices Chase, and he fell. And I think, people sort of just forget that he's won 3 times at the festival now.
Absolutely, he's top class, isn't he? Well, the best of the British here is probably going to be Stage Star, isn't it? Paul Nicholls' horse that won the Turners last year. He's just got that last run to get over, though. I mean, it was a funny prep race for this, I thought, on heavy ground on New Year's Day, in a handicap again, off of 166.
I remember seeing Paul Nicholls interviewed on ITV Racing before the race, and he didn't really sound overly confident about his chances. No. It was almost like, well, Harry will, if heavy ground, we're not sure if he's not handling it, then Harry will give him an easy race with Cheltenham in mind, which is obviously exactly what he did. He ended up pulling up. I think possibly because it was a big pot. It was the first day of Premier Racing, so the prize money had increased for that race. There was only 6 of them in it. They probably thought, well, we'll give it a go.
We'll get away with it.
Yeah, but obviously he didn't. But like you say, he's Cheltenham Festival winner last year when winning the Turners. So, he's got that crucial Cheltenham Festival form.
Yeah, he has. And he's actually, if you turn this race into a handicap, he's actually the best of the lot. He comes out a £5 better horse than Banbridge and a £2 better horse than Envoy Elan, which is quite surprising after what we've just said about Envoy Elan and what he's done in his career. He's a player, isn't he? And Paul Nicholls will be looking for quite a good week with a few interesting runners. So he would be there or thereabouts. One outside I'd like to mention, Darren, is the horse trained by Richard Hobson, Fugitive. Now, we know this horse. We always think, well, he's just a handicapper and he's got a very good record at Cheltenham. But he trialled for this over 2 miles in the Clarence House, which was run at Cheltenham this year. And he wasn't disgraced when third in that to Elixir the Nuts and John Bon. You remember the race where John Bon took liberties with a couple of fences. He was only 6 lengths back in third that day. And obviously that was too sharp for him, that trip. I just think because he loves the track so much, he's only got £9 officially to find with the likes of Stage Star and at a monster price. I wouldn't be shocked if he hit the frame.
If you want to stay up to date with the latest goings on at Cheltenham, then you can find previews, tips and betting trends across our social media channels. Make sure you follow our Twitter, Facebook and YouTube accounts to stay up to date with all the festival action. Links are in the description. Well, let's go back to the opening race on day 3 of the Cheltenham Festival. It is the Turners Novices Chase. And rather unusually, Steve, we got 2 British horses at the top of the market here.
Wow.
Paul Nicholls
surprise,
with,
surprise.
yeah, I know. Paul Nicholls has got Ginny's Destiny, who is 3 from 4 over hurdles, over fences, having won his last 3 races. And we've got Dan Skelton's Grey Dawning, who I think he's pretty sweet on that one's chances, who won at Warwick very impressively in the Hampton Novices Chase last time. So, yeah, do you think one of those 2 is going to win?
Yeah, I do actually. I think I could see them being first and second. Firstly, Grey Dawning, the Skelton one. He's also got an entry in the Brown Advisory, and I don't think they've made up their mind yet where the horse is going to run.
Personally, he's the shorter price in this race at the moment.
Yes.
So he's 11 to 4 for this. He's a bit bigger for the other one.
Yeah, whether that swings him. I mean, when he won, he was very impressive, wasn't he, at Warwick that day? And it was a real mud bar, typical Warwick sort of winter ground. And he looked all about stamina that day. So whether dropping back in trip's going to help him, I'm not entirely sure. But it'll be interesting to see if he turns up here. He has actually raced against Ginny's Destiny earlier in the season. There was 3/4 of a length between them at Cheltenham. I think it was back in December over the course and distance. And he's £3 better off. So, you know, on that run alone, you'd think he might just finish ahead of Ginny's Destiny. But I'm a Ginny's Destiny fan. I was very impressed with the novice handicap chase form at the trials meeting. That was the same race that Stage Star won last year before coming on and winning this race. He loves the track. He's 3 from 4 at Cheltenham. Paul Nicholls has been very talking him up a lot recently. I think of the pair, I'd go with Ginny's Destiny. And I think this might just be one for the home team, hopefully.
Yeah, because of course, I mean, Willie Mullins has got multiple entries again, and you know, likes of Facile Vega, Gallic Warrior, Factor Files also entered in this race. They're horses that are likely to go elsewhere. I think there's talk that this could be quite a small field this year. Another interesting runner is a horse who, of course, won at the Cheltenham Festival last year, Irico. He won the Martin Pipe. Now, we've only seen him once this season when he won quite nicely at Warwick on his chasing debut. He then picked up an injury and we were told he was going to be out for the season. But miraculously, there is a chance he could be running next week.
Yeah, it's quite amazing, isn't it? Because at the time, I mean, he was very impressive in that Warwick race. Everyone was shouting about him as being a potential sort of, Turners or even an Arkle horse at the festival. And then he was out for the season. That was it. And then 3 weeks ago, suddenly Oliver Greenall said, "Oh, he's back in training." I saw something on Twitter where he was back in the yard, and it was like, wow, surely he can't come out in his second. I mean, he's got 2 things against him here. Obviously, the absence, the stroke injury, and the fact he's only had 1 run over fences. As good as he is, surely he can't come and win here, can he? Especially at the price, 5 to 1's got to be too short. I'd want double that type of odds to be. Although, as you rightly said earlier, it may be a small field, this race.
For those of you that are new to betting on Cheltenham, we've got something special for you. We've put together a complete how to bet on Cheltenham guide that's packed with tips, tricks and strategies to help you navigate the festival betting scene. Plus, we've taken the time to review and rank the top Cheltenham Festival bookies, making it easier for you to choose where to place your bets. You'll find all these resources linked in the description below, so be sure to check them out. Well, let's take a quick spin through the rest of the races on the card, which I always think that the Thursday at Cheltenham is the trickiest day of the meeting. And another tricky race to find the winner of is the Pertemps, which is due off at 2:10. Because, of course, we've got horses here who have looked to qualify for the race. One of those being, I won't start with the favourite to start with. Start with Chantry House. James Bowen, when he rode them at Huntingdon in one of the qualifiers, bizarrely kept looking behind him to make sure he was going to finish fourth. I mean, I've got no idea why that would happen, Steve.
No, well, exactly. You have to finish in the first four to qualify nowadays. It didn't used to be like that. It was looking over your shoulder when you're in seventh place a few years back. But no, he's been obviously owned by JP McManus, say no more, been trained with this, a race like this in mind. When he gets in, he's got a mark of 143. He got dropped £2 for that Huntingdon run. And that's 12 pound less than his chase mark. So there's no doubt he's well handicapped. He could be a player. He's been mapped out for this, hasn't he? You know, and there's been good money for him, so he could be on anyone's shortlist, that's for sure.
So what's the likely thought of where you're going to be placing your hard-earned cash come race time?
Well, Ted Walsh has had a winner before at the festival. I think that his horse, excuse me if I'm pronouncing this wrong, Gave Chwal, it's number 17 on my race card at the moment. I think that looks a very interesting runner. It's done nothing wrong all season. The horse has been runner-up in 3 decent handicaps and won a big one at Leopardstown. So in big fields, he won the qualifier on the 28th of December. And then he was runner-up in another qualifier. And this qualifier is a race where the winners do come from this race. He was second to Maxim in that day. I think he'll run well. It looks like he's been mapped out for this race, and I'm a big fan of Ted Walsh. I think off of currently 10 stone 10 and only £3 higher than his Irish mark, I think he's a player, that's for sure. There are many others though. Swingwell Bay is one that John Joe O'Neill's could be interesting. That horse stays very well, and I saw his trainer bigging him up in a recent interview. But he does have a big weight of 11 stone 5 at the moment, and if the top horse comes out, Farrag Delane could even be heading the weights here.
Speaking of John Joe, he's got the favourite at the moment at the time of recording, 9-2 Bet365 for the Trust the Trader Plate handicap chase, the 410. Crebley is the horse in question. Now, he managed to win last time out, the first time this season, but it was only 3-runner race at Exeter, but it was quite a good 3-runner race, to be fair. That race was also sponsored by Trust the Trader, as it goes. He had fallen, though, at Cheltenham at the November meeting when Ginny's Destiny was the winner, and he was also behind Ginny's Destiny at Cheltenham in the December meeting.
Yes, he looks a very interesting runner. When the entries came out for this, he was put in at 10-1, and that didn't last at all. There's a lot of shrewd people looking to take that 10-1. He's into under 5-1 now, isn't he? Round about the 9-2 mark. He'll get in the race. He's number 27 at the moment, so with 24 running, he'll get in. Novices do well in this race, Darren. And as you rightly said, that was an interesting little 3-runner race at Exeter. Tamures and Trelawn, 2 nice horses. He beat Tamures a length and a quarter. That's come out and run second to Blow Your Wad in the Pendle Novice Chase Grade 2 since. So that was probably a good effort. And he was off for 139 that day. He went up £1 for that, which looks quite lenient, to be honest. So he would definitely be the one I think would probably take the beating here. But again, at 4-1, 9-2, is he really valued 24 runners handicap chase? But I think whatever you're doing here, you'd have to have a few quid on him just to cover your stake, because he looks the obvious one.
We've got Theatre Man, who needs quite a few horses to come out here. Richard Bandy trains this one, so another British trained runner. Obviously, that Ginny's Destiny form at Cheltenham last time is particularly eye-catching when finishing second. Yeah,
he's in the Ultima as well, but I think he'll go here. And obviously, if Ginny's Destiny was to win the Turners earlier, well, you expect this horse to shorten up if he goes here. He went up £3 for that, and I did hear somewhere that the final 2 furlongs was the fastest that day on trials day. So he's an interesting runner for sure. Both those front ones, Billy and Theatre Man, have got solid chances.
Everything else at the time recorded is actually in double figures. Is there anything of those that stands out here?
There's nothing really that's caught my eye, to be honest. I mean, you've got Madara there. Sophie Leach took the bull by the horns and went over to the Dublin Racing Festival and won a decent race there. So fair play to her for doing that. And that horse is likely to run here. He would have a chance, but no, not at the moment, Darren. It's, I'd like to see the final entries and get my head stuck into the form book a bit more for this race.
Right, we'll move on to the Mares Novices Hurdle then, Grade 2, and back to the Irish, possibly dominating this race. We've got Brighter Days Ahead and Jade de Grugy, who are currently heading the market for Gordon Elliott and Willie Mullins, and Better Days Ahead. Well, both of them have won all their races so far. She's 5 from 5, the favourite, and Willie Mullins' mare is 3 from 3 so far, although one of those, of course, being in France.
Yeah, exactly. This for me, this is one of the most intriguing races of the meeting. I mean, Gordon Elliott trains Brighter Days Ahead, and he's been big in this horse up. Talk about him being the best, one of the best he's ever had. If you read quotes like that, you'd be falling over yourself to back her. But she has a £5 penalty, just like Jade de Grugy, the Mullins horse. And then you've got the Fergal O'Brien horse, who I think's got a major chance here. Dysart Enos. She's been well campaigned because she doesn't pick up a penalty here, and that £5 just could be crucial. I mean, she's looked class every time she's run. She was a top class bumper a winner. She won 3 times, in bumpers, and then she's won her 3 races over hurdles with her head in her chest at odds on each time. I'm not sure how good she is, but getting £5 from the 2 Irish horses, I'd take my chance with her, to be honest. I think she looks good each way value.
Yeah, like you say, she has been fascinatingly campaigned, and the team, Fergal's team, have purposely avoided running her in a listed or graded race, so they avoid getting that penalty. But yeah, I mean, she looked really, really good, especially at Aintree last year when she won the Grade 2 Mares Bumper. I mean, winning that by 9 lengths, and she looks to come forward again. So yeah, she does look to have an obvious chance. I think it's hard to see past those 3, isn't it? Here we're looking at some pretty big prices by those 3.
Yeah, the 4th in that Jeremy Scott's Golden Ace is a lovely horse. She's really impressed me. She was very impressive at Taunton, both her wins. But when you look back at her bumper form, she was the horse that was 9 lengths second to Dysart Enos that day. So she got a bit to find on bumper form. But again, I know Jeremy Scott's very sweet on her chances, but she's the type that could run really well and be beaten 10 lengths in 4th place. It's a hot race, but as you say, Don, I think the winner will come out of one of the front 3, and the value might be Dysart Enos.
Well, we move on to the finale on the card, the Kim Muir, another race for amateur jockeys this contest. I'm actually going to start here with the second favourite, Good Time Johnny, for Tony Martin, because I think this one's been pretty popular in the betting. I think a lot of people have been tipping it up, but I mean, he's been absolutely stuffed every time over fences so far. Was beaten 59 lengths last time. I know he was 5th at Leopardstown at the Dublin Racing Festival in a handicap, but that was still beaten 27 lengths. He's been given a mark of 142. Strictly speaking, on the face of it, that looks pretty stiff on what he's achieved so far. But as we know, Tony Martin, he's a very shrewd campaigner of his horses.
Yeah, absolutely, Darren. I mean, it's interesting. I was looking at the time form ratings last night, and he's £24 behind the front ones here because of what he's achieved on those, those 6 runs over fences. Everyone's going on the fact that the horse landed a bit of a gamble in the Pertemps last year off of 142. So, I suppose if you look at it like that, it's off of the same mark, but now, over fences. I don't know. Again, I think if it was a double figure price, you might be interested, but round about the price it is at the moment, it wouldn't be for me.
He strikes me as one of those horses that people cotton onto, and so everyone thinks they found an angle, and then everyone piles on, and the price suddenly contracts. You just think, is that should he really be a 5-1?
That's
shot
right.
For this race?
And there's a few of those, isn't there? At the moment. So, but. No, it's you've got Percival Legalius there, the Gavin Cromwell horse. That's been well backed. Obviously, oh no, sorry, that's not. I mean the other one. There's 2 JP McManus horses here. the one they've backed is In the Way
in
You're
the way
Thinking.
you're thinking. Yeah.
Yeah, that's been really good money for that. And that horse did have a few entries, didn't it? So well, it was in the Ultima as well. So I presume it's coming here. Weight and money tells. The problem with this horse is it's got 12 stone. There's going to be a big field 24, and I know that might not bring it down to too much at the moment. It only brings it down £7, to be honest. So
yeah,
maybe it's not to such a negative, but the good money around for that JP McManus's, so that could run well.
Anything at a bigger price that stands out
Yes,
before we wrap up?
yeah, there is. I like Forward Plan here. That's the horse that won the Coral Race at Kempton for Anthony Honeyball. He sprinted over the last to go clear, and I was surprised at what he's around about the 14-1 mark at the moment. I don't know if he's going to be running here and who's going to be riding, but he only went up £3 that day, and I thought he finished on the line as like a fresh horse. So I was interested in him, and I'll just put in a quick word for the Nicky Henderson horse Quick Draw. It was a bit negative about this when asked about this in an interview the other day, but this was the horse that was in the Constitution Hill Gallop the other day and finished the 3-horse gallop alongside Sagino, 40-1 at the time, quickly cutting to 20-1. That was only a gallop at Kempton, probably over 1.5 miles, but you can see some type of angle there. You'd rather see that than not see it if you were a fan of the horse. So don't be shocked if he was to put up a good effort at a big price.
All right, so as I said, Thursday is probably the hardest day to find the winner of the week, but you're napping next best anyway on the card. Hopefully, we can make some money.
Yeah, my net would have to be Ginny's Destiny. I'm a big fan of the Paul Nicholls horse there. I think that'll run very well. And I'll probably go with Dice Sartinos as my next best. Each way, that one, I think. There's obvious each way one.
Okay, that's about all we have time for on this episode. Don't forget to like and share this episode. Subscribe to the Punters Lounge YouTube channel and click on the bell to receive notifications of new videos. We have one more episode to come, so keep an eye on that for that. Remember, if you want to stay up to date during the festival with in-depth race cards, expert tips, and the latest odds and results, then head on over to punterslounge.com. And also, don't forget the Punters Lounge Racing Forum section as well, where you can give us your feedback, your reactions, and also any tips and horses that you fancy, plus enter that competition. Also, Punters Lounge supports responsible gambling. This podcast is intended for those who are 18 years or over of age, and we strongly recommend that you only bet what you can comfortably afford to lose. Remember, gambling should be fun, not a method for financial gain. If you're concerned about your gambling, please visit GamCare, Gamble Aware, or Gamblers Anonymous for more information. All links are provided in the description below. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.